Dress for your body type. People come in all shapes and sizes, and there are all sorts of ways to describe the shape of our bodies for both men and women. Typically, women tend to have more variance in their body shapes than men do. We will identify and explore the best choices of a handful of body types in this video. The three primary categories of the male figure shapes are covered in your reading in Chapter 3, page 59 to 60. The hourglass shape. In today's Western society, the hourglass is considered the ideal female body shape, but that has not always been the case throughout history. See page 57 from your reading for how the ideal silhouette has changed for both men and women throughout the centuries. In the hourglass figure, the shoulders and hips are about the same size with a very defined waist, which is typically 8 to 12 inches smaller than the shoulder and hip circumference measurements. Generally speaking, there are really no bad choices for this body type. They can wear just about any style. This body shape that we allude to as the hourglass is what we try to achieve in balancing the looks for the other body types. Styling advice. Always aim for garments that highlight your waist. When wearing a long jacket, wear a belt or tuck in your shirt to create a waistline and keep proportions in check. When wearing a more voluminous top, pair it with a form-fitting lower body silhouette, and vice versa. Princess seams and pencil skirts are very flattering to this figure. Here are some examples. The rectangle body shape. The bust, waist, and hips are all about the same measurement. This usually suggests a somewhat athletic build or a prepubescent male form. Even if your tummy is flat, you may appear heavier on top. And these types typically gain and lose weight evenly throughout their body. Styling advice for the rectangle figure. Look for dresses and jackets that have a defined waist, as well as calf-length skirts and dresses. To define the waist, belt a tunic or a top, and then blouse some of the fabric over the upper edge of the belt. Emphasize the shoulder and or hip width with shoulder pads or asymmetrical seams or prominent scarf. Avoid the princess seams. Instead, opt for seaming that meets in the center and extends outwards towards the hips or shoulders. These are several good choices for the rectangle shape. See how the diagonal pleating on the purple and the blue dress lead the eye outwards from a focal point of emphasis at the waist and outwards from there. The rectangle shape can wear a fuller top and narrow on the bottom, but the proportion of the length of the top has to be just right. The next slide will show some bad proportions. The stripes on the sweater in the photo at the top, your right, also draws the eye outwards, making the bust and shoulders appear wider than the waist and the hips. These are some of the bad choices for a rectangle shape. Princess seams and long, unshapely tops and coats do nothing to give the illusion of the hourglass shape. The triangle shape, also known as the pear shape. Hips are wider than the shoulders. This is the body type of most women, because this is truly the body shape we are genetically prone to. Problems areas might be saddlebags or an extra large bum. Styling advice for the triangle shape. Emphasize your shoulders to create the illusion of the small waistline and a balance with your hips. Look for garments with shoulder pads or other details such as epaulets. Look for cropped jackets, dolman sleeves, square necklines, asymmetrical tops, and other details that highlight the upper body. Styles with the 50s influence, such as tighter bodices and fuller skirts, draw attention to your bust line and face. These are several really good choices for the triangle shape. It draws the eye across the shoulder length and widens it by the lines there, or shoulder emphasis adds more visual weight at the shoulders to balance with the hips, and skirts that just graze over the hips and draw the eyes straight down can sometimes be more slenderizing. Bad choices for the pear shape would be any kind of horizontal line at the hip level will only emphasize the widest part of the body shape. You must keep in mind flattering proportions for the length of tops for this body type. High-waisted pants, especially those tight-fitting, will only emphasize a large bottom. And the inverted triangle. This is when the shoulders and bust tend to be wider than the hips. This body type is most similar to the typical male shape. Avoid shoulder pads, large Peter Pan collars, and ruffled peasant blouses that will add to your shoulder width. Have your shirts tailored to accommodate your shoulder measurements, and avoid gapping at the chest and chafing in the armhole. Avoid square necklines and tube tops that will create a horizontal line across your upper body. But look for tops that bring the eye inward, such as a halter top or ones with racer backs. Long cardigans and asymmetrical hems can also be very flattering. And emphasize the hips with peplums or paper bag waistlines and full skirts to balance out the wide shoulders. These are some good choices. By balancing out the wide shoulders with a skirt or a peplum, it gives the illusion of the hourglass shape. For the inverted triangle, stay away from anything that will only emphasize the shoulder width. High necklines with lots of emphasis or large shapes can also be very unflattering. Other figure challenges. People face all other kinds of figure challenges. Some we see very critically. Others may not see them the same way we do because they are what makes each of us unique. Some you can change and some you cannot. But here are some resources that give you great styling advice for all the body challenges, and many others out there can help you find ways to best dress or camouflage those parts of our bodies that are not our favorites. What Not to Wear by Trini Woodall and Susanna Constantine, and In Style Secrets of Style, published by the editors of Style magazine. And another great website resource is howtolookgood.com that provides downloadable e-booklets for all kinds of body types. There is a link on my course connection to this website.